That's
Be
okay. I
aware.
think I'm aware.
Just, no,
Christel,
you're cool. We got this. Okay, let's see. Is it working? Okay, I think it just connected on Facebook. Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
And
You want me to be
y-
on Facebook or go there? I don't know where to go to find or pick up the live one. Must I just go on your name?
I can tag you on it. Let me tag you on it. Yeah, you can go on Facebook on my page. You can go on YouTube at Soul G One. It's in the ad. Soul G One Studios on YouTube and X. Let me see if I can tag
Yeah,
you.
but we'll talk on the
Or you
Zoom
could you
call. Yeah.
yeah, you could go to my page and share it as well. Yeah, I can't tag it right now. I have to do it after the show.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so it's always good to make a new friend and get some more perspective from others' perception, the mirrors that we are. Um, I just want to say thank you for coming in on this special day, this Saturday, Christelle. This is episode
beautiful.
05959.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is this is your episode. And so yes,
Okay.
thank you for coming in and creating this sacred space with us and opening up uh, in these incredible, crazy, wild, beautiful, amazing, sometimes confusing times. But thank you for coming in.
It's a pleasure, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to get out here and start speaking to people more on a live space, on an online space. I wanted to do it many times before, but somehow I was like blocked, not wanting or I think the universe and my angelic team basically stopped me every time not to because I felt I was not ready or maybe too much was going on then already.
Mm, mm. Yeah, divine timing, right?
Divine timing, yeah. That's what I believe. Staying in the flow is another motto of mine. If we not stay in the flow of things and we want to force our way, how we want it to be, how we want to force it on our timeline or
Mm.
on our blueprint that we came in with our contract, then then it is difficult. Then you're gonna have some challenges coming up all the time, and we will repeat some of those lessons over and over and over until we actually make a different decision. And that's, I think, one of my uh, how can I say, my dearest lessons and my in this last 10 years was that one of my hardest lessons to do, along with being setting boundaries.
Mm.
That's another level of achievement that one have to get to. So
Yes. Go ahead.
I don't. Yeah, you can go ahead.
There's a little delay. No, no, I love what you said. It's interesting because even in the light worker and starseed circles from the historical narratives that come in from different people, and they're all relevant. There's, you know, there's this space of somebody's trying to control me. Somebody's taking my power away. And I love what you said because to me it came down to that. It was like, okay, if you don't want to be controlled, stop trying to control. You have to stop controlling, like you were saying, like expectations and, things that we put upon something outside of ourselves when really, and I was kind of giggling because I've always kind of understood for myself, and I don't know if it's true with everyone else, but the most important code that comes out of my mouth is it comes out of my mouth and it's meant for me, even if I think I'm talking about someone else. So, yeah, thank you for that little tidbit today of if you don't want to be controlled, stop controlling. That's
Oh,
flow.
that is absolutely so. I mean, we cannot, in any case, we cannot control any other person's life because that's not how our design is or how the universe design is. The universe design is to love, but that is actually where our templates got scrambled, if I can put it that way, by outside matter, outside interferences. Um, but the problem is humanity tried to stay and keep that as a crutch to want to walk on, to say, everything is from outside and all my whole life is outside interference. And therefore, because it's an outside interference, I can make an excuse all the time for the interferences. And be it like a ball or be it our families or our work situations, whatever capacity it passes into our field, our energy field. That is the thing. We always want to keep someone else responsible, and that's a very important thing. Responsibility and accountability. People do not want to take responsibility, and they also don't want to take accountability. And there is a difference between the two. So being responsible is taking as a, let's take it as a mother, you would be responsible for your children, but I won't be accountable for their actions. Their decisions that they take is their decisions. It comes back to them. They have to take that accountability. And unfortunately, people in general don't want to do any one of these two. And when they do the one, then they lack sometimes to take the accountability, be it in the space of a father, be it in the space of a mother, be it in the space of a child, an adult child, being it at any space at work, you know, it's easier to say it's not my fault. And by saying that, we are disowning ourselves, our own essence, and our own beingness. It is for us to like step out of this um, pre-programmed space of which came with the cabal, which came with all these interferences from outside, to say it's not my fault. We needed to take that away and throw it in the dustbin and start stepping into the new earth grid, which is you are going to have to be responsible and you are going to have to take accountability. You're going to have to speak up your truth and you're going to have to start manifesting and creating your own life forward, because that is the ability that we get by going into the new earth with a higher um, essence, with our essence are being increased. So that is quite a big mouthful to actually realize for everyone. So let me take a breather. Yeah, anything you want to comment on that?
No, that was a great synopsis of what we're going through. I totally think it's the perfect real-time intelligence coming in from, the merging of the physical and the non-physical, the human and the soul. And again, I break it down to like something really simple. I mean, um, we say as a human, it's not my fault. But if we take
Mm,
responsibility and accountability, there is no fault to be reckoned with. And the other thing is, as we look at the cabal or the Illuminati or whoever we want to put on the other side of the fence there, it's not their fault either. And
yeah,
that's kind of the field that we're in. Truly, you're asking, we have been afforded the opportunity to truly walk the talk. And no matter what the world looks like around us, and no matter what anyone says, but what we feel inside, we can actually do this. And I believe for myself, the reason I feel this way and I move that direction, and you are right there or in front or something, the feminine has been bringing this in for a long time. But my point is, the reason I can do that is because I know I'm an eternal soul. And I know this is another life with meaning in every moment. And this is a very special moment that we've come to. So my first question for you would be, if we use the terms, this is a quantum thought reality, meaning that our thoughts create everything that happens. Have we come to a point now where we can look at the cabal, we can look at the Illuminati, we can look at any opposition, Anunnaki, whatever we think is the enemy or the antagonist, and can we look at that mirror of us, and uh, understand in our experience that what our opinions are of them that are not in the 0 point are still affecting the field, right? Like, are we in a place now where we can literally enter that divine neutrality in, I'm not saying the whole world immediately, but is there a group of us here that is truly starting to step into that divine neutrality in the flesh in every conscious moment? Thank you.
Okay. Well, begin with the last remark. Yes, there is many of us there that can step into this field. But let's go to the beginning of what you said. Are we ready? Okay, and then I want to say the experience. Okay, first I'm working from backwards to the first where you came asking the question. So yes, there is quite a bit of us, else we wouldn't have been able to step into the fire, or even actually the new grid is already been built in 2016 to 2020. At this time, I actually got involved in building the grid. Want me to restart, or is everything okay? You can hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So,
yes, I can hear you. Keep going, keep going.
Okay. So then the second last thing that you said, okay, are we experienced from our experience? So this is where I want to pose the question to humanity. Where does your experience come from? Does your experience only come from modalities? Does your experience, what do you qualify as an experience? Is it the family situation that you're all? How much closeness did you seek, SEK, which is written in the Bible, which the one tells us, even in the law of one, it says, seek me, and therefore you will find the wisdom. But how many did seek? How many did just go to a certain point and then they stopped seeking? They thought they have become everything in the modalities they learned. So now I stay in that. Instead of in quantumness, you would actually expand and you will ask the next question. If something happens to me, I once had an encounter which was sent to me by the angelic team in the beginning. And she asked me a free session, quick session. I had the incident with my son at that time, and she asked me, how would you see different? Then I would explain to her how I would see different. Then I think, okay, I've got this. Then she would come back and she said, but how would you see? Tell me again, what would you see different from this point on forward? How would you see this? Then I would explain again the different scenario, and then she would ask me again the same question. Because in quantumness, there is not one question, there is more than one question. And besides one question, there's more than one result that will flow from that. And this is the scenario which happens with the collective consciousness when we have timelines that collapses or timeline merges or completely gets divided again into 2 or 3, because that's what's happening. A more preferable or more successful timeline will then be chosen by the higher beings or by the councils to stay on.
But let me interrupt you for a second for two reasons. I have a question for you, and I might forget it when I answer the second one.
No, that's okay.
Could you turn that music off over there, because what you're saying is so important, and the acoustics in your room are blocking it. And it's like they're
That's
like,
fine.
okay, got you.
Better.
I saw your Lyrian back there, your Lyran behind you. No,
And
on the
my
other.
little
No, no, no.
unicorn.
Your kitty on the other side. On the other side. You're no, no. On your other
Oh,
side. Yeah.
oh, my cats. I've got
Oh yeah,
six.
yeah. You're Lyran. Yeah. Oh, there's two. There's a black cat. There's
No,
oh,
six.
oh
Six.
six. There you go. Okay. Let me go back to what you were saying and then keep going. Can you can you go back to what you were saying at the very end? You remember?
Okay, so I said about the lady. She was actually presenting an avatar module. Is that portion that you want to hear? So what she said then is that if we ask in quantum space, this is what it would be. If you have permission, and I come and I say to you, tell me how would you see it? And give me a scenario. And then and then you think you've got it, you know? And then I say, and then you want for feedback. And then I say to you again, okay, and now from this point, how would you see it else? Give me another scenario. How would you see it? And then you will give me another scenario and I will actually repeat it again. And I will ask you the same question again. How would you see it? So again, it is about multiple scenarios or timelines that will be able to be created in any point of situation. And I think that is how ADHD kids are. Like my youngest son, or actually all three my children, but my youngest son is the worst. Um, and even if he listens in, I love him to bits. I love all three my children very much. But he told me, you know, you see all these options playing out in his head, and then they make this calculated decision on this is what I'm doing, or this is what's going to work, or no, this is what makes sense for me. And then they follow it. And in school situations, they can't do that because they are boxed in. But then let's get back to so in when we have the scenario of this different quantum space choices for ourselves or different viewpoints that we can take, that is quantumness. That is being quantum. To be able to, if I do a decision now, I don't want to do this decision. I'm going to jump to another question for myself and I'm going to analyze until I get to a better option for myself or a better result. So you don't have, it doesn't have to be in this all happening in this now moment. It can happen an hour from now. I can say, no, this is not the right choice for me. I want to go back to that point. I'll try this way. Or no, I will go and try another way. My first question to my, at that stage, I was a Christian, upbringing Christian, you know, that was the norm that we grew up in. So I asked my preacher, how do you see God? How do I define God? And that's about everything that I kept from that time period. Is he said to me, it's a ball. God is a ball, but you can put a stick in here at the right, at the left, at the top. You can put it in skew. You can put it at this angle. You can, but it's still God, all of it. And this is oneness. This is the quantumness of everything. Because the balls are inside that ball. It's like that jar. If I give you an example, I don't know, I'm sure many have seen that. We have a jar and they give you all these different size of balls to put in. They put big balls in and then they give you other smaller little balls or clippy stones. Then they give you sand. And so at the end, they will ask you, okay, now the jar is full. Are you happy with that? Are you agreeing? And then most of us would say, yes, it's full, teacher, go on. And then they come and they bring water and they put in water and whoops, there is more space. So there's never an ultimate final decision. There's always, it depends on you, what you are resonating with, what frequency are you on that you want to keep in your field, that you feel is the truth for you, but also it is not just for us. at one point we have to think about humanity as well. We have to incorporate humanity as well. As we incorporate our families in our decisions, so we have to incorporate humanity. And that is what neighborly love is. I mean, there's only two laws that is most important in the whole of the universe is to love yourself, because if you can love yourself, you would automatically love God first. And we'll come to that because many would say there is not a God. But just existing there must be a higher one. There must be something else that put you here, except your mother or your father getting into union. They still got into union with the sacred oneness of the one. But going from there forward, actually, expansion. That's why you need to love yourself, and then automatically your cup will flow over, and that love that flows over needs to be directed. That energy must go somewhere in a wave pattern. So if your love is hate, the opposite, then hate would be the wave pattern that you send out. But if you have love, then it will be a love wave that will go out. So a hate wave would bring a dysfunctional family for you, and a love wave would bring in a very peaceful family. Now, this is unfortunately there's interference because there's other frequencies that are guiding that frequency or wave patterns as well, as we are experiencing on Earth currently. And that makes it feel chaotic. Although it might be a peaceful wave coming in, we need to dilute it. So here I come to another example of water and a glass. So I've got two glasses. So the one glass has got like black water in half, and the other one has got half full of white. So if I black water and I fill up a drop or two into the white water, it would become black. But lo and behold, if I put in more white water, then it goes again white. So attention, who we associate with. Let's go first to association. Who we associate with is definitely influence in our life. If we associate the whole time with the negative and people around us that is negative, they complain about their lives all the time. They complain about how the Navy is. They complain about the school. They complain about the governments. They just like living this complaining and negative situation. I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm sure all of us have been through that stage. But successful people or billionaires, I've been listening to some billionaire reviews, people that get interviewed on that. They don't do that. They just like stay focused on the positive. They stay focused. They don't talk about people. They talk about ideas. They talk about what can be done, solutions. Let's go there. What solution can I offer? What idea do I have? What can I develop further? How can I improve my business? That's what they talk about. They don't talk about people around them. They don't talk about what other people gossip about. Gossip is, I think, the biggest sin ever that could have been on this earth, because that alone creates so much this resonance in all of us. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit, or even if it does contain truth, it is still very difficult to do that. So water is very important in life, and that's why I think it just comes up. And I just want to say, I took here out of my cuff. I'm not talking in a prepared speech. This is me. This is source. This is coming in. So
No, I love that. I love the fact that you're owning that, being that. I think that's very important. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I, you know, I've spent many years, obviously, talking to people all over the world about what we're all experiencing, and I'm always trying to find out more. But it always seems to come, to try to understand it for me, to come down to a simple premise or a simple mantra or a simple statement. So, or question in this case, uh, is there, if we could only use a few words, would you say these words are accurate or not? Or would you have a few words to say how this would um, come into our human consciousness that we could comprehend, or many of us could? And that would be like this. Is there, from where I'm standing, there seems to be nothing more valuable, given all the narratives and all the commentary and all the different things that have come into so many of us that are merging to one. Is there anything that's more effective and more important than being able to see myself uh, by virtue of stepping into other people's shoes, by gaining more perspectives or perceptions, or trying to see more from what I'm not seeing, to see from the eyes of the mirrors around me? That would, to me, that raises my frequency, no matter what it
Okay,
is. You know what I mean? Is there, but I'm just asking, like, is there
so
anything that, is there anything that you feel is more effective to peace and balance and harmony and the new creativity and new creations than to have the highest potential of empathy for those forces outside of ourselves? Does that make sense?
okay,
Thank
it
you.
does. I hear what you want, what answers you, or what you're seeking. Okay, so it's unfortunately not just one word. If I can, then I'll say it's God, but everyone doesn't know who God is and they don't define him and they don't know what he is. So, okay, open heartedness. If you're not having an open heart and you have a closed heart, you can't absorb any energy in within that. Judgment. If you come with any kind of judgment towards any being, you're going to drop the ball. Straightforward. You're going to drop the ball. Assumption. If you assume something and you make a as if that person is that, or this is how it is. Again, that is assumption. Sorry, as we say, it's making an ass of you and me, but that is the truth. Because if you assume everything and you can't factually actually validate it, then it's not going to help because you're going to stay in your assumption.
Yeah,
You're
it's
going to
like
think that is,
rationalizing your own existence, like
yes,
proving your own resistance
exactly.
to nobody but yourself. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no. So that's again the blame game that we're playing here. You're blaming everyone around you for for the problems that you're going through. Okay, so if we're looking at a more positive aspect of that, then I would say if you can drop. Oh, this is a tough one for many people, but don't belong to any religions. Don't belong to any don't get stuck on one thought process. Don't get stuck on this is the truth, whereas there is a whole truth still out there that has not even been found. As we are experiencing right now in this chaotic chaos, there is so much being revealed by things that is being shown to us, like the wall of Amenti or the Akash records, which they are. So new information is always going to surface. That doesn't matter what. Even in your own life, you might think it is this truth, but then something else pops up and you have a different perspective. So don't judge. Again, it comes back to judgment and assumption. The further thing of positivity, keep focused intention. So if you want to do something, have a focused intent. With what intent am I saying something? Put a God in front of your mouth and don't just jump to say something, or just don't jump into your thoughts and say, this is how it must be. It isn't. And especially in the 5D Earth, we're not going to be able to do that because it's quantumness. Quantumness is, like I've already explained, all these different type of viewpoints that you're
But
actioning into.
isn't that quantumness now and not in the future? Isn't it now? Isn't it
Yeah, yeah,
incumbent? But I mean, isn't it incumbent upon us to take that responsibility and accountability that you've been talking about and take full
absolutely,
responsibility for every thought, word, and action? And what I mean is the
absolutely,
way that we view those things outside of ourselves, to ask us the question, do we see them as equal as to us in all ways? Will we get to a point
absolutely,
where we'll no longer look at people and say they're asleep? We will no longer look at people and say they're evil. We will actually look at everything as mirrors of us and parts of us, just like the stars and the constellations. And by virtue of that frequency and that thought pattern that we send out, that's truly the new earth, as opposed to where we're coming from, where we still allow
absolutely.
those opinions and judgments. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Absolutely. On that point, the responsibility comes in right now because at this point, we that is awake can't try and sit back and say, I'm so tired. I can't forgive anyone anymore. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Bullshit. I've been through that many times. I had to like stand up, get up, and get going. I have to pull my up self and I would have to do something to get me out of that. And if you can teach yourself um, catch yourself in that moment when you are doing that, then you say, oh, let me change that thought process right now. Okay, how can I say it different? How can I see different? Okay, I'm taking responsibility for the fact that I'm already awake. I'm taking responsibility that I do have this certain knowledge on certain modalities. Oh, I take responsibility for the fact that I'm actually the goddess. So why do I need to stay quiet? Just to make others happy that they are thinking I'm not allowed to speak, or that I need to play small so that I can give them the comfort, the not to be to make them feel belittled just because of my title or of my higher vibration. No, why must I do that? And that counts for every light being. Why must you feel sorrow for being a light worker, or for a starseed, or for coming in from another dimension, or from as a walk-in? No one is different. We are all here for the same thing, and that is to create unity of consciousness in this world. And not in this world. That's the other thing that people are forgetting. We are here not just for the ascension process of humanity or of Gaia Earth. We are here for the whole of the galactic universe. The universe is ascending with us, and not the universe, the whole of the cosmoverse. Because if we are looking at the maps that is provided by the Urantia books, or that someone that mapped that, um, then you will see that paradise is in the middle, but there's the rings going out. But the whole outer ring is a spiral. It's still ongoing. So we don't even. It's infinite. There is the creation is never going to be ending. We make as if Earth is the everything. This is only us existing. Some people do. I don't say us that is awakened, but some others do. They think it is just us in this small, in this huge universe. But then there's the cosmoverse. Then we are just a dot, not even seeable. We don't even know there's like how many planets in this field. So at the end of the day, people must wake up and understand, we are going to soon have people walking around us that is from this other universes. They are already, I'm not saying they are not. We see them. I see them in the skies all the time when the cloud ships are there. Here in Cape Town, we have like a Table Mountain, which is a stargate. But we cannot like not take even responsibility for that, because we're responsible for that as well. And then after we've taken that responsibility of, okay, now I am the light worker and I am all of this, and now don't write on your title. Now I must take the accountability and find ways on how can I improve this world? How can I further bring up the light? How can I rise up the light? But in the same process, you have accountability towards yourself in keeping your maintaining your vibration. at the point where you were the highest, you need to maintain your vibration. For me, it's easy. The music that you heard, I don't listen to. Okay, I do Netflix. For unwinding and sometimes relaxing, I will watch South Korean movies, love movies, or their movies. It's funny. I love it. But I would have my meditation. I have meditation playlists that I listen throughout the day. I don't like go and say I only spend an hour on doing meditation. No, I don't. My playlist is on. I do other stuff in between. I look at my cat. I make food. I work on my computer. I whatever. I do a phone call, but my music is always on there because that keeps my vibration high, and that doesn't allow for another lower vibration to step into my field. Not that I can't, because some of the and light and dark is, we all have light and dark in us. It's literally, if you feed the light, the white wolf or the black wolf, that is what you will get. But it's when the dark wolf gets fed more evil, more darkness, or they are open to soulless beings, then it creates the dissonance of vibration, and that creates the evil. But even in saying that, the one God, let's just go with that, is in any case everything, and he has allowed that. But for 5 cycles of 26,000 years, that's how long it, unfortunately, and I apologize on behalf of all our divine feminines and goddesses, that it took us so long to step up and really speak out and draw our boundaries. Because for 5 cycles, we allow the patriarchal system and these evil ones to override our divine masculines and become the powers in this world, just because the balance was out so much. And when I connected with my angelic teams, okay, so this is where my more in-depth connection with the ascension process started. Okay, I'm jumping the gun and I'm going back into my history, if that is okay. So I was born in Namibia. I'm coming from Windhoek. I was born with a flesh halo over my head. So, and my mom dreamt my name, which she wrote with a lipstick on the mirror in the Catholic hospital clinic, actually. Then my dad took that and he went and he gave it to a farm worker, which ran away. And then later he came back, and then my dad gave it to him again, and he went and buried it. Okay, so quite a different field that I come from. But from there, lots happened. I got 3 children and so on. But in 2015, 16, 17, 18, I had like direct interaction with the angelic teams through a colleague friend of mine. And if we can understand that, like that series Touched by an Angel, we actually can, they can interact, or they can create a human vessel or body, and then they can actually use technology as well. And that, I would say, I can classify maybe under what people might have yeah, I don't know. You can define it maybe different, but there was a whole process that happened, and when that angelic team came in, I had to listen to certain light language from Judy Satori, which then actually raised my vibration, and and that's how our connection started. And from there, I connected with the throne and the angelic teams that was here on Earth to build the new Earth grid. They started building the new Earth grid. And then we also received a body of 10, which was, there was also like a celebration over Jerusalem, which if one people can go and they can go and search for it, they will see that it was like a circle, like a cloud circle, and you could hear, and people recorded it off their phones, and they could hear the noise of celebration and someone loud speaking out, which was the throne of the universe. And ever since then, they have been connected with me. But I think at one point after 2018, there was a disconnect with that connection with that friend of mine, and then I had to take my journey by myself further, and lots of things happened. So I don't know if I must talk about my personal life really, because that is the hard part. That's the struggle, and that's the pain, and that's the reality. Is that I'm not just like born like this. Although I had some gifts, I didn't. I'm not gonna die or someone has gonna visit and so forth. In 2014, my sister, my little sister, when I was walking from my city where I lived in, and in the middle of the room, I got this thought of my sister's dead, and I was like literally taking my hand and wiping over my head, brushing that thought away. But in that month, I actually see every day I saw a rainbow. But then she passed on, and that was like a big shock. And that was a timeline that actually collapsed in that year, which started in February and collapsed in November. But that kicked me out of my marriage, basically, because I just then finally took the step and realized I can't stay in my marriage for another 24 years. Can't narcissistic emotional behavior on different levels. And apologies to him if he's listening, or his children. I still respect, and I'm happy for the children that I had through the marriage. But that then put my whole process in where I am now into kickstart, basically. Then I did a retrieval session, a soul retrieval. I don't know if people will understand that. With a healer. She was a healer friend. She offered me that. And that specific day, she did a drumming around me because she asked me, do I want to know my power animal? And I said, yeah, of course, you know. But that soul retrieval helped me immensely. I cannot explain. It helped me so much to heal the hurt that I felt within towards the loss of my sister. And then when she did the drumming, I clearly heard a Black Panther walking in, and I heard the noise, and the same did she. And I was stunned because at that stage, I didn't like really were not yet that involved in any healing. Myself, I was reading up a lot. I knew everything about the Kabul, conspiracy theorist. And in 2012, we had a huge circle in Somerset West in Cape Town. Not in Cape Town, my cat is.
Your microphone's been muted.
There it is. Sorry, my cat threw it over. She wanted to be bored with it. but then we were like a whole group of 30 people doing missions together on one of the mountains there in Somerset West. And that was amazing, that experience. And getting involved into the Lightworker group then already was like so eye-opening, and just learning about everything that's available there. Coming from a Christian background, the first thing that people will do with you is when you meet another Christian, if they are open enough and understand that our Christ consciousness, or that Christ Yeshua is alive, he's not dead, but they keep using the cross to actually crucify everyone every time that they see it, or that they hear it, or that they go with that. So I know we are in this space. Um, and I'm talking about that as it flows through me. So if I jump certain things that you want to come back to, just let me know later. But when the angelic team and the throne came in, he actually
No, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. We've only got like
okay.
10 minutes. We've only got like 10 minutes left. I mean, but yeah,
Okay,
keep going. Keep going.
I'll try and speed it up, but I'm sure we're gonna have to do another session. Okay, but then the angelic team and the throne, he actually relived every moment of Yeshua. Every year, time of the year, he would come in, he would receive all the marks on his hands and his feet. And I didn't see it, but I was the one time part of that whole energy session that happened via um, my mother. She was actually my Pleiadian mother, but she literally she was my colleague friend through whom they connected. So she was very funny, and she would relay all the information through that for me. What happened at that moment. So she was like relaying all this information as they were traveling towards the Sirius Mountains. They went to a cabin there, and she experienced all of that. And that is treasured. And this is a private moment that I share with you guys, which some might think I'm weird. What this lady, she needs a psychiatrist or whatever. But then after the 3 o'clock mark went past on a Friday, he actually came back onto, alive. And then him and the team, his brothers, actually went, and then they challenged each other, and they had a whole evening. But they have to stay for 3 days on the earth. For him, his physical body, then which he took on, or vessel, as we say it, then he would heal that surgery, but he must stay around the 3 days. After that, actually, they go into the I'm not keep someone. I know that into the because I don't say themselves. Um, and I literally opened the door for Oneness. We had a wave that was not supposed to be there. We were actually either that of colder was detected, and with a total heat, like partners. So that's very controversial for some people. So I know I'll leave it at that. But just to give you an idea that is the journey that we walked, and there's many other incidents and experiences through that whole process. They taught me a lot of things that I was able to take away after 2018, which I was able to use, how to work with humanity, how to do decrease instructions orders, which would affect the actual total impact. That was part of the first, that was the first ascension actually that happened. For many of us, we did that groundwork, the grid work, everything. And a shocker would be is that ascension, the 1 week, in the beginning, the 1 week, they restarted the ascension process like something like 63 times, which was like, what? What are you talking about? 63 times. But to get it going and to not, because there's so many factors that people do not understand of the supernatural beings, the celestial beings, like the throne and the brothers, that they had to do. They actually literally moved some physical objects, like on Table Mountain. They pull out a big rod the one time which they moved, even if it was just only 10 centimeters or a meter, they still had to move it for the grid alignment and things like that. In that time period, they actually did do some fights in Prague. They did do some other keys and activations that was done with people that was set for this time period, for when we got to this time period now. People that will get activations, or we call it as angelics and gods and goddesses, we call it, maybe you've heard it, marker points that we will reach, which will activate us into a next step, into a next activation of that will trigger you to feel more or see more or resonate with it more, get more knowledge implanted. So that's how it works. So even with the new grid, is there already. The next phase is to see it, to literally, as we see it on some of these pictures in some areas where this energy grid is, that is real. Some of these other things that I show might be the blue beam project, but those with the grid that we see there, that's like vaguely there. That's absolute. And the throne said at that time that our Earth will be 5 times bigger than we are now. At that time, we all referred to it as Planet X, which is still that. So that's just a little bit of how I got here, where I'm now. But the expansion don't stop. And I've had so much connect with the higher beings, my higher self, and the other gods. So I don't write on my name. I am Lunessa of the Light. The soul names that this team gave me was Lunara, Sina, Queen of the Eves, Mother Goddess, a Moon Goddess, Lily of the Valley, and Bride of the Throne. When I mention this, then many times people will say, "Oh, that's your ego speaking. That's your ego speaking." But it isn't. I'm just relaying what they gave me. But the angelic team chose to call me Lunessa of the Light, and that is why I stay with that, because it's less offensive for people. And but I'm not this only. I'm many other beings and lineages in this body, and we had some activation in the beginning of the week where okay, this one will also shock some people because they will again say it's ego, but I've confirmed it when we had the activation that I'm also a shard or a fractal of Isis, which is within me, and that makes me part of the Amun-Ra team. And we had the first twin flame connection of 6,500 years in the Amun-Ra field of Israel, and that happened in this week. So this is things that I don't call for. I don't go and look for it. It's many times people or things, connections just show up in my field. And that's how I work. I don't force anything. Whatever comes in, I deal with it. How I deal with it, it's not always easy, because I'm also, we all light workers are. I am not rich. I am living on the breadline, like we all do, just making ends meet. But this is another thing that I would love to talk about in the future, is that we as light workers have the right to be rich as well, and have the right to own more. But it is us that is stopping ourselves from that point. We need to all seek and jump into that field of prosperity, and we need to just claim it. And because we are following the Christ consciousness, and because we are part of the Christ consciousness, I know the template might be that many are poor, or that is the image that we get from what has been projected to us. But it is not the truth. We can be rich as well. We can be believing in all of this and Him and God, the one, and we can still be rich.
That's
So,
right. That's right. We need to practice what we preach. We need to walk the talk. And as we
yeah,
say down in Texas, if we can't, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Because we've
yeah,
come
I've been there.
yeah, but we've come this far. You know what I mean? We've come this far. I respect everybody's reality because I know they're all the same thing at the end of the day. And
Yeah,
I think what's so important is for, whether it's literally or figuratively, people to express themselves as themselves, speaking of their experience, speaking of their downloads and their channelings and their light language and their past life memories and their connections, and just speaking it out there and not being worried about whether people think
yeah,
you're an ego or not. I mean, this is code. This is what you know,
yes,
we all have a different experience, but it's all the same experience. And by telling our experience, telling of our experience through the human and the non physical, through the voice, through what can be seen and not be seen of the voice, I believe carries the
yeah,
highest code. So I have absolute reverence and gratitude, and it's an honor for me to have been here to witness that. Because, like you said, the heart being open, that's the root of the voice, and pure intention and childlike wonder and our ancient connection, all of this stuff
absolutely, yeah.
can come through the human soul.
Yeah,
It's
I have three words for it: being authentically you, extraordinary, ordinary,
mm,
and imperfectly perfect.
yeah. How can you be? Yeah, we are. We're a perfect imperfection. I mean, if we were in perfection all the time, we'd still all be one star up there. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah,
what we're
no,
doing. We're coming
absolutely.
out here and we're learning and growing and expanding. It's been a pleasure. It's been a powerful hour. Uh, Very powerful. There's a lot of information, a lot of coding coming in, a lot of heart opening expressions and pure intention, and really just the real deal, with the human and the soul both being seen equally. And that's what I think is really the pure code. So thank you so much.
Clear out.
Thank you so much for
Pleasure
sharing
being
this.
here.
Yeah, really for sharing the sacred space. And I wish you blessings of grace to you and your loved ones and your 5 or 6 cats, and those are souls. And whatever you're getting into in service and all that. And I'll see you down the road sometime.
No,
Thank
definitely
you.
we will. There's much to say about it. Thank
Mm.
you again, and peace, grace, and unconditional love.